Alright, Pippy, we finally got a hold of this ancient forgotten tome. Now let's see what it is. Planescape. Pippy, get the book. What does it have to say about Planescape? Planescape campaign setting was released in 1994. Yeah, that's right, 29 years ago. And it's finally being revived this October. But what the heck is Planescape? For a lot of people, even myself, never played Planescape. So I went on a journey that spanned months. I grabbed as many supplements as I could and I ran games in Planescape. I read fiction from Troy Denning and played the game, Planescape Tournament. And well, I've come away with 6 things that, to me, set Planescape apart from other settings. That's right, we're doing a list, because everyone does lists. And first, of course, has to be the multiverse. Playing or adventuring in your typical Forgotten Realms campaign setting might happen once or twice at high levels. In Planescape, you're meant to pop over to the Plane of Fire for breakfast and Shadowfell for your coffee. The D&D cosmology was a bit different in 94 than what it is today, but that shouldn't matter too much if you want to run Planescape in 5e. The point is, the setting emphasizes the existence of a vast multiverse, with each plane having its unique characteristics, inhabitants, and rules of reality. These planes are interconnected and can be traveled between using portals, planar magic, or planar conduits. Which brings us to the second point. Reality is different between planes, and those differences in the planes especially felt by spellcasters. A spellcaster might find their go-to spell completely nullified in the plane of water, or amplified in the plane of fire. But don't worry if a spellcaster finds their daylight spell doesn't work in the Shadowfell, because they can find what are known as a spell key. Spell keys are essentially magical items that a caster can attune to that can help them cast their spells as they normally would. Some work for a specific spell or spell school, while others may cover all spells. And the third thing that separates Planescape is the ideology and themes. Planescape is meant to challenge views to take historical schools of thought and lay them bare against the characters. The Planescape Tournament video game is an excellent example of this. The question, what can change the nature of a person, is featured prominently. The premise is that the protagonist is continuously revived after death, but as a consequence is amnesiac. The protag seeks out what it had done in the past and faces the consequences of their past actions that they have no recollection of making or who the person they were. Planescape seeks for players to interact with the philosophy, to embrace or reject different ideologies. This is manifested most obviously with our fourth point, the factions of Planescape. One of the defining features of Planescape is the presence of various philosophical and ideological factions. These factions represent different worldviews and goals and often engage in political and philosophical struggles. These factions will typically reflect a real-life school of philosophy. For example, the Aethar deny the divinity of deities, and they represent atheists, agnostics, and the like. Believers of the Source believe that life is full of trials and tribulations as a test and that each person may become a god. It shares parallels with Buddhism and Hinduism. And the Free League are libertarians. Not that kind. And more, ranging from existentialists, hedonism, and Discordianism. Each faction, and there are 16 of them in the original campaign setting, endeavors to convert people to their way of thinking and keep them there. This is because the more people that believe the multiverse works a certain way, it tends to actually work that way. Similar to how a deity might become more powerful the more devout worshippers they have. And the place these differing viewpoints collide is the city of Sigil. Sigil, the City of Doors, is the heart of Planescape. Sigil is a metropolis that exists on the inside of a gigantic floating torus. It serves as a hub for planar travelers, and its diverse population includes beings from all planes of existence. Yes, Sigil is extremely cosmopolitan. You'll find a celestial palling around with a devil, and a Duragar merrily drinking with a mountain dwarf. The population is extremely egalitarian, and from their gazillion-foot view of the multiverse, differences amongst races are negligible. Sigil is where a Planescape adventure would be based out of. It's a major hub of multiplanar travel, and the city sports portals to every single plane. As such, it's a center of trade and information. Merchants, scholars, and adventurers converge here for various purposes. It's also widely considered neutral ground where parleys can occur under the watchful eye of the Lady of Pain, the enigmatic ruler of the city. The Lady can bar anyone from the city or the use of its portals, and even create demi-planes to throw her rivals in. The Lady of Pain frequently floats high above, overwatching the city. It's believed the Lady is omnipresent in Sigil, but she is no taskmaster nor administrator. The city of Sigil has no real central government. It merely bends to the will of the Lady of Pain, who cares little for day-to-day operations such as regulation or crime. The only things the Lady is concerned with is the health and maintenance of Sigil itself. The Lady employs servants known as Davis, who are the stewards of Sigil that constantly repaired and reshaped the city. The lack of government had many feel that Sigil is always teetering on the edge of anarchy. And those Davis, they only speak in symbols that appear above them whenever they talk. Which brings us to our last point. Planescape has quite the interesting cadre of peoples and creatures, even though the way locals of Sigil speak is meant to convey a particular way of language. Some of my favorite monsters were either first released or updated in the Planescape setting. Those such as the hulking astral dreadnought, the psychic elephant from Japanese myth of the Baku, and the sentient math equation, Moigno. And one of my personal favorites, the Modrons of Mechanins. I mean, look at these little guys with their little eyeballs and lips. And that's not all. Some races that were going to be player favorites originally appeared in the Planescape setting, namely the Tiefling, the Aasimar, and the Ganassi. And that's been 6 things that separate Planescape from other D&D settings. Let me know in the comments what your favorite thing about the Planescape setting is, and let's all hope that the upcoming box set will be great. We'll have coverage on that here on this channel as well, so look out for that.